Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
मारुते गंभीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते गंभीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते गंभीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते गंभीर मारुते,
धीर मारुते अति धीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते अति वीर मारुते,
धीर मारुते अति धीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते अति वीर मारुते,
गीत मारुते संगीत मारुते,
गीत मारुते संगीत मारुते,
गीत मारुते संगीत मारुते,
गीत मारुते संगीत मारुते,
दूत मारुते राम दूत 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 मारुते,
भक्त मारुते परम भक्त 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 मारुते,
वीर मारुते गंभीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते गंभीर मारुते,
धीर मारुते अति धीर मारुते,
वीर मारुते अति वीर मारुते,
गीत मारुते संगीत मारुते,
गीत मारुते संगीत मारुते,
दूत मारुते।
One small technical information. See, I have created a WhatsApp group of Rushikesh Vedanta Camp 2019, in which I am sending all these videos and photos and the links, YouTube links and meditation prayers also. Those who are added, they may not be knowing that in the group you have to click on the, if there is iPhone with you, then you have to click a dismiss button and at the end of the group, and then only you will be able to listen or open any link or any audio file. If there is an Android phone, then you have to click, there will be three options, because without your permission you cannot be added to any group. So you have to just report that this is not a spam group. So not now, report spam, dismiss, etc. The buttons will be there. So you have to click the dismiss button or not now button. Then only you will be able to listen or open the links. Okay. Thank you. Ha. Yes. And at the last day of the camp 26, I will post all the links again, so you will be get from the beginning. Okay. Hari Om.
परिपूर्ण लोचनम् मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगम् जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठम् वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यम् श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि मनसा स्मरामि मङ्गलं कौसलेन्द्राय महनीयगुणाब्धये चक्रवर्तितनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णुः मङ्गलं गरुडध्वजः मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्षः मङ्गलायतनो हरिः सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तो ते मयि सन्तो ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः So yesterday evening we were discussing the state of deep sleep. And deep sleep is a drishtanta, an illustration which is sort of close to moksha. It is not moksha, but by study of deep sleep we can understand the nature of moksha or freedom, because in deep sleep we essentially experience freedom. Bondage is a result of adhyasa superimposition. The waking and dream states that adhyasa habitually takes place. And therefore, in the waking state, I take my cellular body, and therefore the mind, I take my cellular gross and subtle bodies in the waking state. And therefore, those limitations are taken to be my limitations. Thus, throughout the waking state, when I look upon myself as a karta, a doer, bhokta, experiencer, speaker, hearer, thinker, knower, eater, drinker, walker, talker, man, woman, happy, unhappy, etc. So these are kind of the notions or complexes I constantly entertain about myself, which complexes arise from a habitual identification with the body, mind, sense complex. And I do not know, unfortunately, that this notion that I'm entertaining about myself, that I'm a doer, I'm an experiencer, I'm a speaker, I'm a thinker, etc. That these are wrong. I do not know that. I have taken for granted that's what I am. And thus, taking myself to be a doer, an experiencer, enjoyer, etc., then I naturally feel an extreme sense of limitation. Because doer is limited, speaker is limited, hearer is limited by the organ of hearing, speaker is limited by the organ of speaking. So I, on one hand, entertain these notions or conclusions or opinions about myself, and thus feel an extreme sense of limitedness and struggle to become free from them. So constant struggle in the waking state to become free from this perceived sense of limitation. The limitation is just a sense, not a reality. But until I know it to be the sense, it is as good as reality for me. The rope snake example, I perceive a snake and I think that there is a real snake. And then the snake, perception of snake causes various reactions in me. As I said earlier, to feel fear from a snake, there need not be a real snake for me to be afraid. All that is necessary is the notion on my part that there is a snake. Similarly also, for me to feel a sense of limitation, so this is Vedanta. Just because I feel a sense of limitation does not mean I have to be limited. All that is necessary is a notion on my part that I am limited. So Vedanta alone teaches us that sense of limitation is a notion and not a reality about myself. Everybody else takes this sense of limitation as real. And then they teach you how to become free from that. How to go someplace called paradise or heavens where you will be free. All those things are based on taking my sense of limitation as real. And then then they tell me how to become free from that. By doing something, that karma becomes most important thing because then I have to change. From being limited, I have to become limitless or free from limitation. Something has to be done. Vedanta says that even when you are feeling sense of limitedness, you are not. That is where knowledge comes. Otherwise, knowledge cannot be the means of freedom. Knowledge simply reveals what is. Knowledge does not change anything. Just as light reveals what is. If there is darkness, then I do not perceive what is. And light simply enables me to perceive what is. It doesn't change anything. So in darkness of ignorance, I do not perceive my true nature. And I take it to be contrary to what I am. What knowledge does is reveals my true nature. So if knowledge is a means of freedom, in next chapter, sage Narada says to Sanat Kumara, Shrutam hiva me bhavadrishebhyah tarati shokam atmavit. Venerable sir, I heard from great sages like you that the knower of the self crosses the grief. So in knowing the self, you cross the grief. Cross the grief, you become free from grief. Bondage. If by knowing the self you become free from bondage, that means self must be free from bondage. Because knowledge just reveals what the self is. Therefore, this is what Vedanta teaches. That what you are is free. And the bondage is a notion. What you are is happiness. Unhappiness centered on you is a notion. So knowledge simply removes a notion born of ignorance. A notion is born of ignorance. Knowledge simply removes that notion by removing ignorance. In the waking state, I have no opportunity at all. I constantly struggle to become happy, to become free. In the dream state, a similar scenario is there. In the deep sleep state, at least that struggle is not there because there is a notion there. So in the deep sleep state, even the ego also is not there. Ego, sense of individuality also merges into ignorance. Therefore, there is avaran but no vikshepa. And you say, ignorance has two aspects, avaran veiling, vikshepa projection. Not knowing the rope is called avaran. And taking the rope to be a snake is called vikshepa. The waking state and the dream state, there is both avaranam and vikshepa. Not knowing what my true nature is and taking myself to be contrary to what I am. And that vikshepa or taking myself to be contrary to what I am is cause of suffering. Merely avaranam, merely not knowing doesn't cause suffering. It deprives me of ananda but doesn't cause suffering. Vikshepa meaning the notion arising from identification is what causes suffering, sense of smallness. In deep sleep, because there is no identification, there is no notion, there is no sense of smallness, there is no samsara there. Thus, in deep sleep, we all become free from projection, adhyasa, samsara. Not free from ignorance. The avarana is, vikshepa is not there. So deep sleep state is characterized by freedom from vikshepa, freedom from adhyasa, freedom from wrong notions, and therefore freedom from all the suffering that comes from wrong notions. So in deep sleep state, there is freedom from sorrow. Then there is nothing now that separates me from myself. In fact, nothing separates me anyway. I am always what I am. But because of identification and the wrong notion, that ego, I feel a sense of separation from myself. Because I am body, I am mind, and therefore I am as though separated from my true nature. When? In the waking and dream states. In deep sleep state, that separation is not there because there is no identification. I become myself. Sata somya tada sampanno bhavati. Upanishad says that in deep sleep state, this one becomes one with his true nature. Not that I am not one in my true nature in waking, I am always true nature only. I don't become otherwise. But because I entertain that notion of taking myself other than what I am, therefore I am as though separated from myself in waking and dream state. That as though separation also does not remain in deep sleep state because there is no ego, there are no false notions. Therefore, Upanishad says, Sata Somya Tada Sampanna Bhavati. This one becomes one with Sat existence, his true nature. Swapiti Rachakshate. He's called Swapiti. So when ordinary people see this person, they say Swapiti, which is a verb, which means he is sleeping. Swap, shining. So there is root swap in the sense of sleeping. He's sleeping. But for those who know what really that sleep is, they know that Swapiti. So Swapiti is a verb or Swapiti is a noun also. So for ignorant people, Swapiti is verb. For the wise people, Swapiti is noun. Is a noun of this person. Means this person is called Swapiti. Swam apito bhavati. He has become one with himself. It's a revealing noun. So Swapiti is a very revealing word. So explaining Swapiti, calling it a noun, meaning Subanta, meaning that it is a word, substantive with a suffix, is a revealing word. So Swapiti explains Swam apito bhavati. Thus he becomes one with himself. This method of explaining a word is called nirukti. This is not a grammatical, this is not a vyatpatti. This is not derived, grammatically. But you know what nirukti is? You take a word and from the letters of that word, you derive the meaning. For example, jagat. The ja and ga. So jayate, gacchati, the jagat. That's how it is explained. It's not grammatically. Grammatically, gacchati, the jagat. But nirukti is ja. So there is a letter ja, jayate, ga gacchati. So therefore, Lord Ganesha is Gajamukha. So there also Gaja will be explained as that is cause of creation and dissolution, etc. So Gaja will be explained as Ishvara. Letters Ga and Ja. Gachati, Jayate, it keeps on going, it is born, it dissolves. What I'm saying is there is this another way of deriving the meaning of a word. It's a fancy only, it's not grammatical. But somehow the letters which make up the word lend themselves to a certain meaning. And thus, in this and other Upanishads also we find the common words are explained to contain a profound meaning. So Swapit is the common word, sleeps. But then it is explained as that this is a person who is one with himself, who is merged in himself. So in deep sleep state, one merges into oneself. Then continuing that thought, although last night we ended with a sudden suspense, if I remember, let others also analyze the state of deep sleep and come to other conclusions. Vedanta analyzes the state of deep sleep and understands that in deep sleep one attains one's own nature. One becomes Sat, one becomes Brahma, merges and becomes Brahma. But because of the veil of ignorance, one doesn't know. But you said the Buddha say that if you say that Atma is Chit or consciousness, and consciousness is self-revealing, and you are always consciousness, then you must be conscious all the time. If consciousness is a nature, you should be conscious all the time. You are conscious in waking state, all right, in dream state, all right. But then if consciousness is nature, then in deep sleep state also your consciousness. In that case, you should be conscious of what is happening in the deep sleep state also. Then you should know that I am merged in my true self, something like that. But you don't know. That means that there is no consciousness in deep sleep state. That means you are not, if you are consciousness, you are consistently consciousness. See, that is called nature which can never be denied, which must be consistently there. Fire is hot and it's hot wherever it is. Whether it's in India or in Siberia, fire must be hot morning, evening. That is called nature. The nature can never be denied, nature can never not be. So if consciousness is the nature, you must always be conscious. In deep sleep state, you are not conscious. Therefore, there is no therefore consciousness is not your nature. What's the nature? Shunya, non-existence is a nature. I mean, you see what people have already drawn conclusions and then they use this reasoning or something to only justify their conclusion. But sounds right, is it not so? If consciousness is our nature, should we not be conscious in deep sleep state? Should we not be? But we are not. So conscious is not our nature, is it not so? See, in waking state we are conscious, in deep sleep, dream state we are conscious, deep sleep state we are not conscious. So understand that being conscious of something is one thing, and being consciousness is another thing. In the waking state, I am consciousness and conscious of something. In dream state, I am consciousness and conscious of something. In deep sleep state, I am consciousness and conscious of something. So consciousness is our nature, and consciousness is our for being conscious of something are sense organs and mind. And they are not there in deep sleep state because they are merged into ignorance. Therefore, in deep sleep state, I'm not conscious of something. Not that I'm not consciousness, understand? You must know the difference between being consciousness and being conscious of something. Deep sleep state must be of something because the instruments required for being conscious of something are not there. I'll give you an example. So, my mother says to the child, go to this certain room and see what is there. Mom, there's no, I don't see anything. It's a dark, room is dark. Because the room is dark, this child does not see anything. Mom, I don't see anything. No, when I do not see anything, there can be two reasons. Either because I do not have eyes, therefore I know, because I can't see. Or in the darkness, when I say I don't see anything, do I see or not? Tell me. Mom, I don't see anything. But do I see or not? I see the absence of everything, understand? If I do not say, I can't say I don't see anything, is it not so? So in the darkness, it is not that I don't have eyes, but I don't see anything because what I require to see is external light. So not only do we need the eyes for seeing the colors, we need external light also to illumine those colors, then we can see the colors through the eyes. When the external light is not there, even though my eyes are open, I do not see because the sahakari karanam, the supporting reason required, the light is not there. Similarly, for me to be aware of things, not only I require myself, there is consciousness. But I require that light. What light? Mind and sense organs is what illumine those things. I need them to see, be aware of something. So in deep sleep state, I am not aware of anything. Community 2 is because there's nothing to illumine those objects by which I can be aware. So the class requires the mind and sense organs to aware. So not aware of something. Not that you are not aware, you follow? The deep sleep state also unaware, but not aware of something. For being aware of something, what is required, mind, etc., is not there. So they say that just because I don't see, they say you don't have eyes. That's what Buddha says. They say there's no consciousness. You don't have eyes. No, I have eyes, but there is no light to illumine these objects. Vedanta says your consciousness is very much there, but the mind is not there. Then we are not conscious of something. Very important difference. If I was not conscious in the deep sleep state, is there that memory is just to understand, to contemplate. Because I always judge myself by my conclusion in waking state or the dream. By deep sleep state for arriving at what my true nature is. My conclusions about myself are all based on my experiences of waking and dream states. Upanishad Vedanta says take into account the deep sleep state also. deep sleep state enables us to contemplate upon our true nature. The samsara is not there. You follow? There is no samsara in deep sleep. That means samsara is not real. Hey, real means it should always stay. That is called real which cannot be denied, which can never not be. What is now and not elsewhere or later cannot be real. Adavante jannasti vartamane vittad. What is not before, what is not later, is not there in the middle also. So with this deep sleep example, we come to the next passage because the reason why Father is saying this to Shvetaketu is because Father has already demonstrated how the universe of names and forms can all be reduced to three colors. Shvetaketu, look at the fire. You find that fire is made of three colors, the white and the black. The red color in fire belongs to the subtle air that you see in fire, water. The black color that you see in fire belongs to the element earth. Therefore, what you call fire is nothing but these three elements, nothing but three colors. This is called reduction. Now that takes place in the mind, not that you start seeing now. Yes, Swami, that's not necessary. You can do that if you want to, but it's not necessary also that you actually do. Our Swami said, no, Jesus come, I didn't see it last night. Jesus come, new one has come. Not only with this, another one has also come. So now you're, huh? Pot family, right? Enough to all complexes, very complex. Human mind, this is miserable. At least rest world is not miserable with our human mind. Human mind knows how to create misery and suffer. But then, so the Father has already demonstrated how the universe is nothing but the three colors and three elements. Shown how the elements are born of Sat. So essentially it's shown that universe is Sat. The inert or insentient is Sat. How are the sentient beings? So he also should be Sat. Now the method of showing how these names and forms are Sat is by the cause and effect relationship. That Sat Sadeva Somya Idamaganasit Ekameva Dvitiyam, that this universe of names and forms before its creation was Sat, one without a second. So Sat is Upadana Karanam and Jagat is Karyam. So by Karya is reduced to Karanam, effect is reduced to the cause, and that's how this universe being in effect is not apart from cause which is Sat. So universe is essentially Sat is shown. But Jiva does not have the Karya Karana Sambandha with Brahman. I'm not a Karya of Brahman, I'm the product of Brahman. Jiva is Brahman. So therefore that this individual is Sat has to be shown differently now. The showing universe as Sat is one way, is the Karya Karana. But showing this one as Sat is by showing the Swarupa is Sat. You follow? So that is why this discussion of deep sleep, to show how this one Swarupa is Sat. I'm not a product of Sat, I am Sat. And that is now clearly being shown in the passage number 13 that we have selected for discussion. स यथा शकुनिः सूत्रेण प्रबद्धः दिशं दिशं पतित्वा अन्यत्र आयतनम् अलब्ध्वा बन्धनम् एव उपाश्रयते एवमेव खलु सौम्य तन्मनः दिशं दिशं पतित्वा अन्यत्र आयतनम् अलब्ध्वा प्राणमेव उपश्रयते प्राणबन्धनं हि सौम्य मनः इति. Very simple, rustic examples. But with examples, in each case, an illustration is given for us to contemplate. Illustrations are meant for us to contemplate upon what is illustrated. Drishtanta and Darshtanta. Drishtanta, illustration. Darshtanta, what is illustrated. So illustration is meant to contemplate upon what is illustrated. Some people get stuck with illustration itself, You give Drishtanta, people suddenly get stuck with that. So it is common for us to tell the 10th man story, Usually, whenever we begin a series of lecture, we tell a 10th man story. And searching for the missing 10th man, they did not find it for the whole day. In the evening, and they were disappointed, sitting under a tree. And then I said, those days I used to have a brahmachari came along and saw these children were sad, and they ultimately eliminated them. Some other time I said an old man came along. So the question answers, and this question came. It came, I have not made it up. Swamiji, the other you said that a brahmachari came along, and today you said an old man. Which one is right? Which one is right? Old man is right, isn't it? Old man can be brahmachari also. Oh wow, that's it. That's very intelligent. So, what is the purpose of illustration? And what aspect of illustration has to be taken for contemplation? Not this aspect. He was stuck with that. So is it the old man is right, or the brahmachari is right, or something? Every time I met, I said different things, They were sitting in a banyan tree some days and another tree. So suppose all those details change. So it is important to understand properly, the unnecessary things. Because no drishtanta illustration can apply in total. Only parts of it apply. So similarly here also, a drishtanta is given. So yatha, this is the style. Tatra ayam drishtanta, just as shakunihi means a bird. Now what is the illustration here? Imagine that a bird is caught by a hunter. And what the hunter does is ties his bird with a string and perhaps ties it to some post that he has in his own hand. A bamboo net, let's say he has. So a hunter has caught this bird in his net and has tied it with that post. So what does this poor bird do? Yatha shakuni sutrana prabadha. Prabadha bound, sutrana to a string. So you can look at the translation as a bird bound to a string. Naturally, this poor bird is looking for freedom, and therefore it flies in different directions. So disham disham patitva, flying in all the directions. For what? Or maybe this fellow is tied with his hand, put it this way. This hunter has tied this bird by a string to his hand. And then he continues his job of catching other birds and whatever it is. This little bird which has been caught is running or flying in different directions. Bandhana mokshartha, son, moksharthi son, means what? He wants to be free. The only thing that the little bird wants to be free. Does not understand that it is tied by a string, so it thinks that by flying it will become free. Understand this. The poor bird, not knowing what is tying it, thinks that it can become free by flying in different directions. Therefore, all along the bird struggles, flying in different directions to become free. Anyatra ayatanam alabdha, but then does not find an ayatanam abode. Anyatra anywhere else. Alabdha, he fails to find an abode because he flies in the sky in different directions. To become free, he naturally does not find. So says, Bandashrade. That bird comes back to the place where it is bound. Let's say it is tied to the hand of this hunter, ultimately gets tired. Flies in all various directions, seeking freedom, seeking to have an abode. Where it is tied. So that is where it gets its ayatanam. If it's tied in the hand, it sits in the hand, and that is where he finds this is comes back where the bondage is. See, the illustration is important. That the bird not finding the abode anywhere else comes back where it is tied, where it is bound, back to place where it is bound. This is an example, illustration. Evameva, in a manner similar to that, evameva khalu somya, oh good looking one, tat manaha, that mind, which mind? The mind about which we discussed yesterday. What is it? Surashakalaha somya purushaha. The mind was equal to this purusha. And we discussed that mind is called purusha, the person of jivatma, because mind is the most predominant element in my personality. When it is said that the deity called Sat or consciousness has entered here, what it means is that that consciousness gets reflected in the mind. Like the sun getting reflected in water, and one may think that the sun has entered the water through reflection. So being reflected in water is described as sun entering the water. You follow? Similarly, being reflected in the mind is said that the consciousness Sat has entered the mind. Entrance is not real. But if we say the sun looking at its reflection feels that I am in water. You know, limited to water. And I am dull and I am small and I am restless. So when I think sun thinking like that, I remember this story of this Mullah Nasruddin. This Mullah Nasruddin was once walking in it was, I think sun perhaps maybe sixth or eighth moon, sorry, moon, seventh, eighth. So moon was a crescent moon in the sky. So Mullah was walking either in the forest or something and felt thirsty. And so was looking for a well, and then he saw a well. And then what he saw that the moon has fallen down the well. Mullah was really concerned. So how to pull it out? So Mullah brought a rope and made a not loop, and inserted that loop in the well. And with an effort, then exactly caught that moon in that loop, and then tried to pull and pull and pull and fell down. What happened is that his loop got caught in some root which was projecting from the well, and when he pulled very hard, the root got broken, and Mullah was turned, on his back like that. Rescued it. The moon had fallen, it is back in the sky. So similarly, things that are fallen in there, and I'm only that much, and there are so many moons. I'm one of them, so small, dull, restless. Similarly, this moon or sun or consciousness, this is like a pool of water, like our mind is a reflecting medium. Gets reflected and thinks that I am there, so that is what I am. Like sun thinking that this is what I am, the reflection. This is called pravesha. This also is just an example, a story, to explain how you feel a sense of limitation. If the sun takes itself with the reflection, then sun will all kinds of complexes that I am so small, and I am dull, and I am limited. Similarly, consciousness gets reflected in the mind and thinks that I'm as big as the mind, I'm as big as the well, I'm as big as the well. What is the well is really that one. Similarly also, what is so-called reflection? Nothing but consciousness. And that is to be recognized. Therefore, is jiva is nothing but the consciousness reflected in the mind. Therefore, the jiva is referred to here by the word mind, manaha. And this manas means mind, but by the word mind, we have to take the lakshyartha, the targeted meaning, the implied meaning. Then why don't they use the word sat? Because sat does not obtain as sat. Sat obtains only as identified with the mind. And unfortunately, that identification of the mind, most predominant element, even though sat is the primary thing, but because of identification of the mind becomes most predominant thing in our life. So mind is small, then I am small. Mind is happy, I am happy. Mind is restless, I am restless. So I must go as mind because of identification. Therefore, the Jiva Atma is referred to as mind in this particular passage. Tan Manaha, that mind means what? The consciousness reflected in the mind of the Jivatma. Disham patitva. So this jiva is compared to the bird. Just as a bird is tied to its place of bondage, it may be hand with the string. So the jivatma is tied. Tied where? Tied to its swarupa. Jivatma is tied to its swarupa, true nature. But not knowing that, it flies in different directions. Right? Why is it flying in different directions? In search of happiness, in search of peace, in search of freedom. Why is so? Because it thinks that it is bound. Therefore, searching for freedom. It thinks unhappy, searching for happiness. Thus, this Jivatma flying in different directions, meaning from one siddhi, one achievement to the other. Waking state from one achievement to the other. So you achieve something thinking that that is moksha. We all want moksha only. But we think that when I get that, I'll be liberated. When I get that, I'll be free. When I get that, I'll be complete. This is what we think. After getting that and examining, then I said, no, that's not what I want. Then go for something else. Then you get that. Momentarily you feel that you are happy, then you examine that. It's not what I want. Disham disham patitva. From one achievement, the avidya kama karma. Because of ignorance of his true nature, he takes himself to be limited. There is a desire. Moment I look upon myself as a limited being, instantly there is a desire to become free from limitation. Because I cannot stand myself being limited. I cannot accept myself being limited. I cannot accept myself being unhappy. I cannot accept myself being inadequate. So, moment I see myself there is an immediate impulse to become free from sense of inadequacy, limitedness, unhappiness. That's the desire. Meaning that desire behind all the desires ultimately is to become free from limitedness or inadequacy. It may be desire for wealth, name, fame, power, anything. Even go to Chotiwala, and enjoy some good, eating in ashram and whatever it is that they serve. So then afternoon, there are lots of trips going out. Now you don't have to go all the way to Chupa. Only 25 years ago, there was nothing else here. That was only you have to go there. Now there is a shops right here, so you don't have to go too far away. So this tea, so you go for a tea, you go for a coffee, you go for some snacks. Because inadequacy here, search for adequacy somewhere else. But anyway, so this is how searching and searching and searching. It looks like I have found it, and no, it's not quite. Go to something else. Disham disham paditva. During the entire waking state, it is searching for young people, by the way. Only people who have got enough experience and understand what this is. Because if you have not gone through this, then what are they talking about? I think they don't know how to live life. That's what the world thinks that these fellows, these Indian Hindus, don't know. They don't know how to enjoy life. That's they go to forest and they do. But this is for people who had some experiences in life. And so you can avoid what they experience now. They may not have understood that what the experiences are. So you the dream state also. So disham disham panitva anyatra ayatanam alabdha. Not finding ayatanam in abode. Anyatra anywhere else other than its own swarupa. So far it has been flying to what is anatma. Anatma. Dream state, anatma. In all different directions, flying and struggling to settle down in anatma, cannot settle down. So not finding a resort or a refuge so comes back to his deep sleep state. So Alabdha then goes to deep sleep state. Where does it go? To its, where it is tied. Just as a back to where it is tied, so also is Jivatma. Now comes back to the body, why prana deep sleep state also when everything is sleeping. The sense organs of perception are sleeping, the sense organs of action are sleeping, the mind also is sleeping. There is one fellow who is awake in the deep sleep state. You know who he is? Prana. So therefore, the word prana is used here. By the word prana is not meant this breath, but he is awake. So what is meant by prana also is what we call lakshyartha. Pranasya prana. So some of you may have come across this pranasya prana, chakshusas chakshu. So therefore prana is, atma is described pranasya prana, the prana of the prana. So here this word prana means prana of the prana. What do you mean Swami prana of the prana? I mean there is this breathing here, there is some under breathing going on inside. Chakshusha chakshu, the eye of the eye. I mean there is inside another eye? No. That's the way to describe. The self of the eye, the self of the ears, the self of the prana. That because of which eyes are what they are. That because of which eyes can see. That because of which the ears can hear. That because of the prana, sustains life. Meaning that the capacity that eyes have of seeing is a borrowed capacity, is because of something else. Eyes function as though they are live sentient entity, but the sentience in the eye is provided by something else. Without consciousness, eyes cannot do anything, ears cannot do anything, even mind, prana cannot, mind, nothing can do anything. To enliven this whole upadhi of the body, mind, sense complex, is all enlivened because of the presence of the self, presence of consciousness. Although we say entry, there is no entry, just a presence. Just as in presence of electricity, the fan runs. In presence of electricity, the light shines. So in presence of consciousness, all of these are alive. That prana is alive, is breathing, is sustaining life. If you examine prana, we realize that prana has no capacity to do that because prana is just air moving up and down. It is inert, insentient thing. Insentient thing cannot sustain life. Urdhvam pranamannayati apanam pratyagasyati, Kathopanishad says. Urdhvam pranamannayati, the outgoing breath is called prana, incoming breath is called apana. So this outgoing, incoming, does it take place on its own? Is no. Urdhvam pranamannayati. There is someone who pulls the prana up, apanam pratyagasyati, someone who pulls the apana down. With Bhaddeva. There is a self that is seated here in the heart. He throws the prana out, he pulls the prana in. Because prana, apana themselves are inert. On their own, they cannot do that. You follow? When you find an inert thing doing intelligent thing, that you know that an intelligent thing must be there behind it. A car is an inert thing. When run the intelligent manner, you know that there is someone, some conscious being must be there. Is it not so? So you see prana going up and down and intelligently functioning. Ko hyevanyat kaf pranyat yadesha akash anando nasyat. Taittiriya Upanishad says, who can breathe out? Who our conscience? Had it not been there, how can prana and apana perform their function? So when we see the upadhi functioning, it itself leads to the presence of entity that is consciousness. But all of these are matter. The body also is matter, mind also is matter. As you saw in evolution, and matter cannot function function intelligently on its own cannot function unless an intelligent entity is there. So prana means pranasya prana. So that because of which the prana is what it is. That is a conscious, that's the self. Upashade. Finding it, then it's state, the Jivatma finds an abode, which is its own Swarupa. So what's the conclusion? It says, Pranabandhanam Somya Manahaiti, the last one. Pranabandhanam. Hey Somya, what is Manaha? Pranabandhanam. Prana is the so mind is there which is tied to prana. What is mind? By the implied meaning, mind means Jivatma. What is prana? By implied meaning, prana means the self or consciousness. So consciousness is, so Jivatma is always tied to consciousness, meaning that consciousness is the true nature of Jivatma. Call it consciousness or Sat in this context. So prana means consciousness or means Sat. So hey Soumya, oh good looking one, prana or Sat is the essential nature of mana or Jivatma. So now the external world was shown to be Sat Jiva to be Sat by saying that its true nature is Sat. So now we have the equation. By knowing Sat, what's the proposition? By knowing one thing, you know everything. That everything includes two things, and subject. All the science is Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Om Shanti Shanti Narayam Shakrato Vande Bhagav Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Bheda Hari